Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to Totally Dacob. Today we're going to be reviewing Chucky Season 2, Episode 5. Little Madball Chucky with me today again. Doll on Doll is the name of this episode. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there for extra perks. Thank you to my patrons who have already pledged. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream every Saturday on my main superdacob channel, so go check me out over there. That's where I film all the videos for this channel as well. So we're going to review Chucky Season 5, Season 2, Episode 5, Doll on Doll. Hi everybody in the chats. Okay. So, interesting episode, a complicated episode. Perhaps Chucky. So we're back in the reform school, but we're also seeing a little bit of Tiffany's mansion, Jennifer Tilly's mansion that is occupied by Tiffany Valentine. And we spoiler alert, video full of spoilers. So spoiler alert for season 2, episode 5 of Chucky. We get the reveal of finally Tiffany reveals herself to Glen right after she kills her sister. Well, it's not her sister, it's Jennifer Tilly's sister. So she kills Jennifer Tilly's sister, but still it's interesting to see how they played out the scene because it's Jennifer Tilly killing Meg Tilly. So it's very fascinating. I'm sure they had a lot of fun. The two sisters like kind of at each other and one killing the other. To shoot that scene must have been hilarious or maybe creepy for some. I would have found it super hilarious to kind of get to kill my brother or sister in a horror movie. I mean, come on. It's like a dream come true. Obviously, I'm just joking, duh, but you know what I mean. It's a horror movie. Everybody wants to die in a horror movie. That's like the thing. You want to have a death scene in a horror movie. Now, the way Meg Tilly was killed off, it wasn't so spectacular, her death, but the concept of Jennifer Tilly killing Meg Tilly is hilarious and also scary at the same time. But we repeat and reiterate, it was not Jennifer Tilly killing Meg Tilly. It was Tiffany Valentine killing Meg Tilly, because he transferred her soul from the doll into Jennifer Tilly's body. Now, we also find out that Tiffany, in Jennifer Tilly's body, has a doll of Tiffany, in which the real Jennifer Tilly is captured in. And remember how last week I was saying that Jennifer Tilly's acting a little bit over the top and I would love it if she would tone it down just a notch. And I found very, very fascinating how she actually does that. It's so funny because when she's acting as a human being, she's over the top. But then when she's inside a doll, she's more toned down. And I love that. I love the fact that, pardon me, I love that we get to see that balance between the doll and the human. And the doll wants chocolate and it keeps begging for chocolate. I mean, and she lives in a cage. Interesting how, 1.5 seasons had to pass by before we finally get the reveal of where Tiffany's keeping Jennifer hostage. And then we get to see the doll again. We get to see the Tiffany doll dressed like she was in the Seed of Chucky movie. Looks awesome. And also makes us question, how many decades has she been in that cage? Because she never came back into her body since Seed of Chucky. And so that's a lot of years since Seed of Chucky has passed. And Tiffany in the body of Jennifer Tilly has been on a lot of different quests and has been throwing some shade and shenanigans all over the place, all up until Cult of Chucky. So to think that the real Jennifer Tilly in the body of the doll has been in a cage for like decades is kind of really sad. So I can imagine how she became crazy living in a cage all those years. So just like begging for chocolate kind of makes sense because you reduce yourself into a little creature, and then she has to sign all the bills and she has to pay for everything. She has to fake the signature because the fake Jennifer Tilly has bills to pay. So the real Jennifer Tilly has to sign off all the bills in return for chocolate. The cage looks super flimsy. The bird type of bird cage that she's captured in seems like all you got to do is pull the wires together and you can exit. But whatever, you know. Anyway, so Glen follows Jennifer Tilly into the secret room in the attic where the cage is in and finds out that in reality she is her mom but not her mom. Or his or their mom. And so we have the situation where Meg also pops up, then wants to stop Jennifer. Jennifer attacks her, kills her, and now Jennifer is with Glen. And Glen is like, what's going on? What's going on? Who are you? Who are you? And then finally the coming out of Tiffany Valentine. Tiffany from the body of Jennifer Tilly screams, I am Tiffany Valentine. And Glen doesn't seem too shocked, but then Tiffany gives Glen the doll, the Glen doll. Now the Glen doll is empty. The Glen doll is not moving. The Glen doll is not talking. And I wonder why is that? Because the Tiffany doll is talking because Jennifer Tilly is inside of it. But the Glen doll is not talking. But I'm like, but how did Glen get into the body of two twins? Then the two twins must have been transferred into the body of the doll. There was an exchange that happened, but it didn't happen. So I'm a little bit confused there as to why the doll is not talking while the Tiffany doll is talking. Bit of confusion there. Yeah, Madame, Glen just stood by while Meg got killed. How? Because that's what Glen does. Glen doesn't react. Glen is passive. Whenever Glen sees mom and dad kill somebody, Glen is just passive and freezes. That's what Glen does in the Seed of Chucky movie as well. Glenda is the one that takes action and becomes a killer too. So there's that, and then finally, because at the beginning of the episode, or towards the beginning of the episode, Tiffany in the body of Jennifer is kind of really begging for it, begging Glen to tell her, hey, where's Glenda and where's Nika? And Glen doesn't want to say. And shortly after that, we have the scene in the attic. And then after Glen receives the doll, Glen decides to drive with Tiffany, or at least we're led to believe that they're driving together towards Glenda and Nika. In the car is front row, Glen and Tiffany in the body of Jennifer, and then behind them is Jennifer in the body of Tiffany, and next to them, who was next to them? Was it Meg's head, or was it somebody? I don't know. Anyway, what a mess. So there's that. Now, in the reform school, we have, Jake still fighting with Devin. I find that plot line really annoying by this point. I don't know why. Am I the only one who's annoyed by this? Like, it's so unnecessary. They don't need to fight. It's just like you're looking for trouble. You're looking for a fight. You're looking for drama. Unnecessary. I don't know. The chemistry between them is just not working for me. Unfortunately, I wish it were, but it's not. Lexi and Nadine, however, great chemistry. They are working very, very, very well together. Debbie says it added more layers and substitutes to clean up subplots. I mean, it added more layers and subplots to clean up. You mean the doll missing the soul? The Glen doll missing the soul, Debbie? Or what do you mean? Glenda doll on the back seat. Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay, so Glenda doll next to the Tiffany doll in the back seat, and front seat is Glen and Jennifer Tilly, human with Tiffany inside. Okay, so we have that mirrored. Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah, I like that, the fact that we have the human Glenn and the doll Glenn behind, and we got the human Jennifer and the doll Jennifer behind. Awesome. In the car, and the car is kind of reminiscent of Christine from Stephen King and John Carpenter movie. So here they are going, we don't see where they arrive because that's the end of the episode, but they're probably heading towards Nika and Glenda. But let's rewind a little bit to the reform school. The good Chucky, hilarious, by the way. The good Chucky is now like proving more and more that he is the good Chucky, and he's killing. He manages to kill the muscly Chucky, right? And this is so bizarre that like Jack is like looking through the keyhole, seeing what's happening, and doesn't manage to break down the door. Also interesting that Devin and Chucky together don't try to. Devin and Jake don't try together to break down the door, but one tries and the other tries, and then looks through the keyhole. Jake, and then the blood of one of the Chuckies goes through the keyhole and kind of hits him on the eye, and then he cleans himself up a little bit, but the stain remains. But then like 1 second later, the next shot, he's completely clean. There's no blood on his face. I thought that was continuity error, because he should have kept that blood on his eye more like longer before we see him wipe it out properly. But anyway, so the good Chucky manages to kill the crazy buff Chucky. And now at this point, Jake is in love with the new Chucky. He's like, you're good. I knew you were good. I knew you were good. But then Devin is like, no, he's not. He killed my mother. He killed your father. He killed everybody. He's faking it. He's not good. And then they have a fight. Jake takes the doll away, and Devin is like, oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Tries to pull the knives off of the buff Chucky that's attached like a Christ on the wall. At this point, the priest comes in, or the school, whatever, principal, and says, you are cray-cray. Go pray in the church. And so so he goes, prays. He starts tearing out all the pages of the Bible that say that, a man should not lay with another man the way that she lays with a woman, the way that he lays with a woman. And then he's like, oh my God, you're attacking my homosexuality. Let me rip the Bible apart. And then he goes back into the room. It's always just like back and forth between the different rooms. I don't know. Lexi's in her room with Nadine, and they find out that the dead body is missing from the closet from the last episode. Like, who took the body? At this point, the shrink from the opening from the first episode arrives to the school. And I've been saying this from episode 1. The shrink is sus AF, because the shrink is sending the dolls. The shrink gave the Tiffany doll to Lexi's sister, like super shady. And now the shrink arrives to the school, and the shrink says, yeah, this is crazy behavior. Like, Devin is showing some like crazy behavior patterns. And then the principal says, well, then let's send him away to another school. She's like, no, I think he should still stay here. Anyway, they throw away the buff Chucky into the garbage bin. Of course, he's still alive. The other cuckoo sister McTurd, who sees Jesus in all the wrong places, sees Jesus in Chucky. Then the Chucky has his arisen moment. He walks towards her and she says, I knew Jesus was in you the whole time. And then he says, I have arisen. And then we have the whole haha shtick of, why the promotional advertisements were all about I have arisen. And so she's like, I'm ready to serve you. Whatever you want, I'll do for you. So Sister McTurd is ready to do whatever buff Chucky bids. In the meanwhile, I don't know why they haven't noticed this earlier when they first checked Chucky's smartphone, who is now good Chucky, but they're rechecking his smartphone, and they find out more photos on his phone of Chucky taking pictures in the woods surrounding the school with chopped Chucky parts laying all around. And they think, oh, these are breadcrumbs for Chucky to follow to find his way back to his evil self. So let's go and find the spot where these chopped Chucky limbs are. So Lexi and Jake go follow the breadcrumbs. But before that happens, we have a coming to Jesus moment where the good Chucky says, "Oh no, I'm evil. Why do people hate me?" And then Jake says, "No, you can change. You're good now. You're good now." And then the good guy now says, "No, I'm gonna be evil. I know I'm evil. I'm always evil." He's like, "No, you're not. You're not. It's your choice. You decide who you want to be, and let me clean you of your evil. Let's baptize you." And then they baptize Chucky. I mean, it's hilarious. And then Chucky's like, "Oh, no, I'm good. Yes, you're good. Oh, thank you." So obviously we still don't really trust Chucky because he seems like he can snap at any minute just from his like good guy, opening and closing eyes, like that little vague look in his face, like I am a total moron. It's just gonna kind of blink and then go change the eyes into evil. And he's gonna go back to his like Brad Dourif evil Chucky. I have the feeling that's gonna happen, but you never know. Maybe the good Chucky's gonna sacrifice himself for Jake. That would not be very Chucky like, but hey, why not? It wouldn't be the craziest thing we've seen in this show. Now, Lexi has again her drug moment, and then Aideen says, "You can beat this, you can do this," and then she flushes all the pills. Finally, I hope this arch is over with, the drugged teen. She will overcome her addictions, and then she goes with Jake to follow the breadcrumbs, the body parts, and then they go into the forest surrounding the school. They come to a little hut, little house, cottage in the middle of nowhere. And inside, surprise, surprise, all the missing bodies are in there, right? The kid that was missing from the closet, the other priest that Buff Chucky killed the episode before, 2 episodes ago, and they find Andy. Andy's still alive. Andy is all tied up. They're poking at him, probing him. Something terrible is happening to his body, but he's still alive. He's being tortured for some reason. Why are they collecting all those bodies? They might be preparing to resuscitate, to create some, who knows what sort of spell they're doing. And who else is there? The shrink. The shrink is in the little cottage. Yeah, the church brainwashed Jake, says Debbie. The Catholicism of it all. Madame says, Glenda, no chemistry. Yeah, Madame, there's no chemistry between Jake and Devin. I just don't feel it at all. I just want Devin to find a good man that doesn't fall in love with serial killers like Jake does. Interesting point. Well, Jake is a little bit, yeah, troubled. But I love how the other sister comes in Devin's defense. When everybody says that he's crazy, she says, "Well, maybe you should not be hanging medieval torture devices all over your room. What do you want to do? Use them to torture him now?" And then the sister McTurd, says like, "That's an idea." You know what I mean? That was a funny moment. But I forgot now. Who else was in the cottage? Oh, right. The shrink was giving directions and orders to a bald Chucky. Pardon me. And I think the bald Chucky is what do they call him? The captain? The colonel. Yeah, the bald Chucky is the colonel, right? So she's talking to the colonel, and it can end up with Jake taking acting lessons, very meta. um, so he's not a good actor, y'all. Yeah, this episode did not. He has this one face that he does when he's angry, and it looks like he's gonna cry and is disgusted at the same time. This kind of Jake, when he goes into this, what is he gonna cry now, or is he gonna punch you? And he does that often, and that's kind of like, well, I'm like, well, what? Show a little bit more, a range of emotions that is not limited to that particular face. Yes, that face says Madame, right? And mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or he has a pout, says Debbie. No, I think he's lacking nuance. He can learn it. I think. I think he can learn it. But then the delivery, the vocal delivery, is a little lacking. It kind of goes into that. Like, okay, show some emotion. I am angry with you. Like, okay, can you say it in a more like fake way? So I don't know why he couldn't dive deeper into his character, but I feel like Devin and Jake are kind of caricatures of themselves, which is a pity because, there's so much potential for this character arc and for them to be a couple and to fight together, to find their way. And instead, I have the feeling like they're going to break them up. Like, why be with them a whole season waiting for them to finally come together and then, like, you end up breaking them up? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense. Very Chanel ambassador Twilight actress moment, says Madame. Oh my gosh, yes. Kristen Stewart should go back to Twilight and stay there. But anyway, that's a whole other can of worms. I don't know why I was so hyped with last week's episode and I was really feeling it and I was loving the meta of it all. And I enjoyed this week as well in many ways, but I didn't enjoy the school. I loved Good Chucky killing Buff Chucky, and I loved Good Chucky getting baptized. Hilarious. Um, but the rest, no, not so much. And then of course, like I knew it from the get go. Oh, okay, the shrink is playing some weird game, and then like in episode 5, reveal the shrink is playing some weird game. Ta-da! It's, I mean, unless there's more plot twists, like the shrink is maybe connected to Nadine. Is the shrink Nadine's mom or grandma? Is Nadine, because she's a ginger, somehow connected to Chucky as well? Is Nadine part of Glen and Glenda? Maybe. I had to pause every 5 minutes of this episode to watch something else. The kids' stories don't do it for me. And this is what I was saying, Madame, last week. I said, to me, I didn't miss the kids last week. I kind of like this other dimension that they created last week, right? And I loved the direction it was going in, so I did not miss the kids. Now, I know some of you said, oh, we missed the kids. But I was like, yeah, I mean, I've grown to love them, I have emotions for them, but like I don't like I like knowing that they exist in this universe, but I didn't miss their plot line. I didn't need to watch more. Yeah, they were much better they were much better last season. Oh, they were amazing last season, but also because last season they were really the focal point of the show. I mean, it was really very well balanced. It was all around Jake, and then Devin and Lexi came in, and it was a beautiful way of introducing all of them. But this season they're broken. Their core unity is broken apart, and it's just like at the beginning I thought, okay, the first couple of episodes is going to do that, but like, come on, it's episode 5. We only got 3 episodes to go. No more time for her to be a drug addict. No more time for them to fight about their, like they've been doing it for like 5 episodes now. It's enough, it's getting tiring and boring. So at least develop them further. Show us something more. They're stagnating. They're stagnant. Jake, Devin, and well, Lexi's maybe less stagnant than the others. Yeah, exactly, Madame. Gay couple fighting next. Drug addict teen next. I know. And last week's episode really gave me hopes for something special. Now, mind you, I'm still really, really involved in the Jennifer Tilly slash Glen Glenda slash Chucky slash Nika storyline. That's kind of the OG storyline, that started in with Seed of Chucky and then went all the way through to Cult of Chucky. Like, I'm still invested in that story, and I still want to see all the twists and turns that are prepared for us there, because by now we've been introduced to all the dolls. You see, by episode 5, we've been introduced to all of them. We have now seen the Seed of Chucky Tiffany doll. We have seen Glenda. Well, we've seen Glen, not Glenda. We've seen the Glen doll. We've seen the Chucky doll and then some, and then we've also seen the Tiffany from Bride of Chucky doll. So we've seen all the dolls. We're introduced to all the characters. There's no more surprises, unless we don't get introduced to a new, brand new doll. Maybe that's the plot twist. Like, Tiffany's mom is a doll, or Chucky's dad, or Chucky's mom as a doll. Plot twist. So yeah, all I want to say is this episode, there were moments I loved and moments that really kind of kicked me out, But all in all, I still adore the show. It's still better than a ton of other things out there. And I'm still so looking forward to next week's episode and to see how all of this pans out. I will not stop watching, not at all. I'm not going to let one slip up in one episode kind of take me away. Not going to happen. But that's that, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this review of Chucky season 2 episode 5. Doll on Doll, I think it's called. Yeah, Doll on Doll. Funny because it's always like Doll on Doll. It was all mirrored, right? Oh, also the introduction moment, the Chucky font appearing was all like teddy bears and toys kind of composing the Chucky. That was so funny. That was also Doll on Doll moment, right? Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, never give up on Chucky love. Bye. Subscribe.